Finding a detailed, up-to-date water layer for your large-scale map can be a challenge. Large scale, small scale, large scale, small scale. Large scale. Here's a close-up look of the Missouri River near Washburn, North Dakota. It's a pretty complex braided system as the water channels meander throughout the river valley. If we reach for a river line layer off the shelf, there's a pretty good chance it's not going to be nearly as detailed as you need. Even if you manage to find a pretty high resolution river line layer, at this scale, what we really need is a polygon layer. You could isolate the rivers from a vector base map, but rivers are always changing, and the vector base map's river polygon might be somewhat out of date, and it's also a challenge to style. Where can you find reasonably up-to-date, pretty high-res water polygons? This thing can help. It's the Sentinel-2 Land Cover Explorer. I actually got to help build the UI for this. It's a detailed categorization of 9 different land cover types, over time, with pretty good resolution. Here's our area of interest, and we can actually see how the land cover has changed over the last 6 years. I'll isolate water, just to see it all by itself. Now this base map imagery is almost certainly not from 2002, so I can just ground truth this by looking at the satellite imagery that it was derived from. And it looks right. But how do I get my grubby little GIS-y mitts on this data? I'm going to click that download button, zoom to my area of interest, and I can snag the GeoTIFF from the most current year. Thank you, Land Cover Explorer. Your job here is done. Here it is, opened up in ArcGIS Pro. Now let's take a closer look at our area of interest. Right here. I want to extract just this chunk of the image instead of working with the whole gigantic image. So I'll zoom out a little bit to give myself some room, and I'm just going to drag this symbology window over a little bit so my view is roughly square. And then I'll just right click this layer and go to the edit option and choose export raster. And I'm going to export this as its own GeoTIFF. For the clipping geometry, I'll just use the current display extent. That's why I made it reasonably square. I don't know, I'm just weird like that. And the pixel type here is shown as 8-bit unsigned. It's a good idea to make this the same as the input data. So let me check the properties of my original image. And I'll go to the source tab and I'll look at raster information and verify that yes, it is 8-bit and it's unsigned. So I'll just leave that as is. And compression type LZW, that's cool. It's good to have a compression so the resulting image isn't a kilobyte. And we can turn off the original and just check out our clipped out area of interest. And next, we're going to convert this raster into a vector polygon layer. Now there's an optional next step here that I'm not going to do because I want everything. But if you know you only want, say, water, you can use the extract by attribute tool from Spatial Analyst, and then it'll remove all the pixels except for just the water. But since my area of interest is reasonably small, I'm okay with turning everything into vector polygons, and I know I'm not going to get 8 terabytes of polygon. Let's turn these pixels into vertices, and I'm going to use the raster to polygon tool. I'll choose my area of interest raster as the input, and for simplify polygons, I definitely want to leave that checked. Otherwise, I'll just have a kajillion right angle jaggies. And I'm going to leave multipart unchecked so that each polygon is its own discrete thing. And now we have a blob of purple land cover polygons, one of which is water. How do we find out which one that is? I'm just going to click this info thingy to get the attribute for water, which is a grid code attribute with a value of 1. So now I'll open the definition query for this layer. I'm going to create a new definition query isolating grid code of 1, which is a code for water from our raster. Hit OK. And I'll turn off my original image, and glorious! We have unreasonably high resolution, relatively current water polygon features. It's a thing of beauty. It's so hard to get this kind of stuff. What a time to be alive. Sentinel-2 machines scanning the surface of our planet all the time. Some kind of artificial intelligence robot classifying the land cover types. An artfully designed tool that lets you navigate and explore all over the world. Exquisitely powerful GIS tools to help us extract that data. All that's left is some creativity on our part. Let's style these up. Time to make this water look a little bit more watery. I'm going to change this solid stroke to a gradient stroke, and I'm going to give it a nice sandy, beachy river's edge color scheme here. And it's going to go from khaki colored to transparent khaki colored. And for the fill, I'm going to give it a hatched fill, which is those stripy, liney doodads. And I'm going to make them pretty thick, and I'm going to separate them by something slightly less than their thickness. Then I'll dig in to that line and I'm going to give it a gradient, and I'm going to make it go from watery blue until white. And then I'll add a wave effect, and this is the magic. I'm going to make it kind of a long wave. The preference is up to you, and let's see what we get. A nice wavy, beachy, textured river polygon, which is fun. It's kind of cool to scale this and see how the vector rendering works at all scales. That was pretty funky. What about a more traditional take on water symbology? Let's give it a gradient fill. We'll leave it buffered, and we'll do absolute distances. And the interval will make like 10 points, and then the size will also make 10 points. So boom, 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 boom. There's 10 little transition points between one color and the other. We'll do the coastal color like a watery blue, and then for the outer stroke, we'll just give it a darker blue, and then we get this kind of thing. It's a nice little embossed kind of effect. And if you have a darker base map, you can just reverse this. With darker base maps, the edge effect should go into a lighter color. What about old school water rings? Those are fun. So I'm gonna make my fill just the typical light blue watery thing. And now I'm gonna duplicate my outer stroke, and I'm gonna make it white, and I'm gonna give it a negative offset. This will snug it within the polygon, and I'll choose accurate. And we get a little water ripple in there in the color of white. I'm going to duplicate this one and give it even a deeper negative offset. And I'm effectively just making ring after ring after ring. And each one I make a little bit more of a distance from the previous iteration. And so far I've got like 3 or so. This one I'm going to give a dash effect. Eventually it's kind of nice when the water looks broken up and perturbed. So with the off on template, I'll do long on, short off, long on, short off, kind of randomly, and it looks like this, which is pretty cool. I'll duplicate that dashed inner ripple, and this one I'm gonna make a more even on off. So like 8, 9, 12, 15, that kind of stuff, close numbers to each other. And I'm gonna give it even more offset, and now we've just got a nice little ripply water. Okay, now let's try out a beveled edge sort of thing. I'm going to get rid of my stroke, and we're going to only use fills. I'll make it that rivery blue fill, and I'm going to go to that wrench and duplicate this layer. I'm going to add a move effect. Really, I'm just going to offset this other polygon fill, and I'm going to give it a darker blue color. And this is kind of like a way of beveling the edge, and it looks like a little bit of shadow catching the water at the edge of the, and I did it the wrong way. So +1 X, -1 Y, and now it looks like a little shaded edge there. And I'll duplicate this, and I'm going to give it a sandy beachy edge, and I'll give it the exact opposite move effect values. And there it is. It does look better with imagery behind it. And lastly, let's try out a stylistic patterny kind of fill. I'll start with a blue stroke and fill, and I'm going to add a marker symbol layer. And this marker I'm going to drag between the stroke and the fill, and I'm going to give it the same color as the water, but slightly darker. And I'll tweak its size a little bit, make it a little bit smaller, and I'll decrease the step distance in the X and Y directions to make it a more dense pattern, and then I'll just alternate the rows. There's a million ways to style water polygons, and you can mix and match any of the stuff I've just shown you. So use this data and process to get high-res vectors of things that change, like glaciers, areas of urbanization, forest cover, crops, wetlands. Global, timely, high-res data like this used to be really hard to get, or impossible. Try out this process and have fun styling up your maps with all sorts of new, great-looking land cover.